All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at what I can only describe as an absolute masterclass in military upcycling. We are going to break down exactly how India is taking obsolete, expired munitions, literally rescuing them from the scrapyard, and transforming them into a cutting-edge air defense system called SAMAR. For all you focused learners out there, here's our quick roadmap for today's deep dive. We're going to hit the expired missile problem, walk through the upcycling timeline, look at the strategic impact, dive into the engineering context, map out the future outlook, and then wrap it all up with some memory triggers. Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the expired missile problem. So picture this. You've got these highly expensive fighter jet missiles, right? But here's the catch. They come with a very strict, unavoidable shelf life. After about 10 to 15 years, the solid fuel inside these things naturally degrades. And once that happens, well, they become entirely unsafe to fire. I mean, you absolutely cannot risk a malfunction on a multi-million-dollar aircraft. Because of this, aging Russian R-73 and R-27 missiles are usually just destined for destruction. We're talking about thousands of weapons, fully paid for, just sitting around waiting to be scrapped. But instead of throwing away that aging stockpile, the Indian military came up with a genuinely brilliant solution to repurpose them. Enter SAMAR. That stands for Surface-to-Air Missile for Assured Retaliation. By taking these old expired air-to-air missiles and heavily modifying them, they've created a highly effective short-range air defense system. Its whole purpose now is to protect ground troops and vital installations from incoming fighter jets, attack helicopters, and drones. And this ingeniously repurposed tech, it just proved its worth on a massive stage. The Indian Air Force actually fired it successfully at the recent Vayu Shakti exercise, proving beyond a doubt that this recycled system is incredibly lethal and totally ready for action. Moving right along to Section 2, the upcycling timeline. Let's look at how fast this transformation actually happened. Back in the 1990s, the Indian Air Force purchased a huge stockpile of those Russian R-73 missiles. Fast forward to around 2020, and boom, these missiles hit the end of their safe operational shelf life. They were essentially ticking down to zero. But instead of the end of the line, this became a totally new beginning. By 2023, the SAMAR system was officially unveiled to the public, and then by 2024, it achieved that successful firing we just talked about. It's a pretty wild timeline, honestly, showing how a massive inventory of obsolete junk was rescued from the scrapyard in just a few short years. Now, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. Check out the division of labor here. The Indian Air Force Maintenance Command acted as the project lead, really driving the whole initiative. They had the heavy-hitting technical support of the DRDO backing them up. But what's truly remarkable is this third group, private Indian MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. These startups stepped up to provide the absolutely critical electronics and launch mechanisms needed to mount these things onto heavy trucks. It just goes to show that the military and the private sector can seamlessly team up to pull off some seriously complex reverse engineering. All right, Section 3, Strategic Impact. This is where the defense economics get really interesting. I mean, just look at that number. Hundreds of millions of dollars. That is the staggering amount of defense budget saved here. Think about it. They don't have to go out and buy brand new short-range systems from foreign suppliers like Israel or Russia. When you buy a new air defense system, the missile itself is by far the most expensive component. But with SAMAR, those missiles were paid for decades ago. The financial heavy lifting is completely in the rearview mirror, making this deployment incredibly cost-effective. So let's break down the core strategic pillars. First up, as we just saw, is extreme cost efficiency. Second is this whole concept of military upcycling. This is a massive shift. India is proving they can take thousands of expired munitions and upcycle them into a perfectly viable second layer of defense. That frees up huge chunks of the budget for next-gen technology. And the third pillar is point defense. SAMAR operates at a range of roughly 10 to 12 kilometers, and it's designed to protect specific, vital choke points in air bases. By doing that dedicated close-in work, SAMAR frees up the really expensive long-range systems, like the Akash or the S-400, so they can strictly focus on taking out higher-tier long-range threats. It really is a perfect division of labor. Next up, Section 4, Engineering and Global Context. Now, this is wild. Think about the crazy contrast in physics here. On one hand, you have the original context, an air-to-air missile designed to be dropped from a supersonic fighter jet flying at 30,000 feet, so it already has this immense speed and altitude before its motor even fires. On the other hand, you have the new context, launching that exact same missile from a stationary heavy truck, sitting at ground level. It's effectively starting from zero. To make a weapon designed for the sky work perfectly from a dead stop on the ground, the integration challenge was massive. Engineers had to completely rewrite the missile's aerodynamic and secret algorithms from scratch. Truly a phenomenal feat of reverse engineering. Moving into Section 5, the future outlook. The Indian Air Force definitely isn't stopping at the R-73. Actually, they're already actively working on SAMAR 2. This next iteration is going to utilize the heavier, longer-range R-27 missiles. And by doing this, they'll significantly increase that defense envelope. Because India literally has thousands of these older missiles sitting in storage, their massive advantage here is pure volume. They can rapidly deploy hundreds of these highly capable batteries across the entire border. It creates this incredibly dense, inescapable web of air defense that adversaries are going to find very, very difficult to penetrate. Finally, Section 6, high retention memory triggers to lock all this in.
If you're studying up, keep these exact buzzwords firmly in your mind. The core concept is military upcycling, specifically using expired R-73 and R-27 munitions. The system itself is SAMAR, which provides absolutely crucial point defense. And the technical process that made it all happen? Complex reverse engineering. These elements combined perfectly summarize the sheer ingenuity of transforming an expired, dangerous problem into a highly effective protective solution.
What an incredible journey, right? Taking an aging stockpile and turning it into a modern protective shield. It really makes you wonder, what other massive leaps in defense tech are just around the corner? And are you ready to explore the devastating power of the Pinnacle next time? Thank you so much for focusing in and exploring this with me today on The Explainer. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.